Mark, a notice to improve is never good news, is it? How has the school approached that result?
I actually think for this school, in terms of where it's at right now, Michael, it is a good result. Based on the historical results of the last few years, and that's what Ofsted based it on in terms of their new framework. It could only be one of two things, which was it was going to be either notice to improve or special measures. And certainly 8 months ago, there was no doubt about it, this school was definitely going to special measures. It could have been anything different. And since you and I last spoke, or videoed, I've done Ofsted inspector training myself, and so I see it from both sides now. And so I suppose in some ways I knew what I was entering when I took on the challenge of supporting this school. The outcome for me was as good as it possibly could get, and certainly the local authority are delighted as you can be at a school getting notice to improve. And there are certain things within that report, one being all inadequate teaching has been eliminated, which is fantastic for this school. I think there is a real will, a real strength and determination amongst this teaching team. And certainly it's one of the strongest teaching teams I've come across. And we've appointed a couple of new members of staff which have really just added to that whole team ethos, team approach. So a notice to improve, as my wife said when I told her what we've got, really it's, if you read the report, it almost reads as a notice to carry on what we've started since Easter, the changes we put into place, because they've recognised that we are right on the mark in terms of what needs to be done. And we start to put things into place to move things forwards, and the green shoots, as Ofsted say, are already showing signs. Too early days for the school in terms of the outcomes to actually show enough evidence to come out with a satisfactory. But I mean, you can guarantee it from me, here's from the horse's mouth, that we'll be aiming for good next time.
What are you getting from the LEA?
The local authority are being supportive. We have got an ISP consultant, Simon Barbara, who is working closely to our agenda. Similarly to what was the case 2.5 years ago with Stifford again. And it's good that they're not imposing what they think needs to be happening in the school. They recognise that myself and Lynn have got a fairly good handle on what we need to improve standards in the school, and we're on the road to doing so. And they're supporting us in enabling us to do that. Similarly, I'm finding that in terms of our support from our POPA, Ruth Brock, she's challenging, and she's making sure that we're moving forward. We're challenging our thinking, our thought processes really, but in a supportive way. So we're getting the right type of support. But of course, that could be all in jeopardy in terms of the funding situation in Thurrock, and whether they have the capacity to continue doing that, I don't know. So
the key reason that some people say that the senior schools are so successful is because of the permanence of the heads. You know, everybody, whether you go from John King or Tess Walker, Chris Thomason, how permanent are you here?
That's an interesting question. If you had have asked me that at the beginning of Easter, I would have said to you, Michael, I was only asked to come here to support the school for one term. I think it would be fair to say, and I think you'd have to ask Lynn this question, that pretty soon into that summer term, I was the one who said to the local authority, I want to carry on supporting this school, because this is a school definitely going places. There's no doubt about it whatsoever. And I want to be selfish really. I want to be part of that journey. And I like to talk about ethos. The one thing that really has impressed me hugely about this school is, particularly amongst the teaching team, but the wider team as a whole, there is a real drive to move forwards. I feel blessed. Feel very, very fortunate that coming here, the things that Lynn and I say we need to put into place, there doesn't seem to be any questioning. People accept that this is what we need to do to move forwards. And certainly, I think the things I'm doing with Lynn here are very similar things to what I did 2.5 years ago. There is no magic recipe in terms of moving the school on, but you've hit the nail on the head in terms of the culture side. If you don't get that right in the school, if you get a fractious situation where you're not taking the whole team with you, you can never move forwards in a school. The one thing I do feel we've got over is this real concern about what's going to happen in the immediate now, because are you going to go next month or whatever. And I think people are now, they're just working towards the end of this year. And the thing I'm really, really keen about is looking for this school to get a notice to improve within this academic year, which I think is achievable. I really do think it's achievable. And I don't think it's achievable because of Mark or because of Lynn. I think it's because of the whole team in the school. So, you know, don't be surprised if you hear really, really positive things about this school. We've started on that journey already. And I'm confident that we will get to where we want to get to, and in a very quick space of time as well.
Lynn, is the notice to improve a fair assessment of where the school is today?
I think it is a fair assessment of where the school is today. As Mark previously said, 6 months ago it would have been, you know, no question about special measures, and you know we have to take into account historical data as well. It does reflect where we are at the moment because it's actually recognising there's capacity to improve. So it's looking at the past, it's looking at where we can go in the future as well. It also is endorsing for the teachers that they are now all moving in the right direction all together, and that's enabling the journey to go further.
What's going to be the key factors in this school improving?
A huge factor is the style of leadership. It's important that everybody wants to move in the same direction, and it's important that everybody, irrespective of where the part they play in the school, wants to move with the team. And it's all about everybody having ownership of their part they can play, and people wanting to do it rather than being told that's what they're doing, because it's people having the professional judgment and having that recognised that everybody can help to take us to the stage that we need to go to next.
Do you, in your capacity, do you have a sort of a 1 year plan or a 2 or 5 year plan?
Well, as head of learning, obviously we have many areas that we now need to focus on from following the Ofsted. There are no surprises at all in the areas that we need to improve on. They're already in our school development plan. That in itself was a positive endorsement that we know we're heading in the right direction, and you know we intend to get straight down to work and ensure that we are out of this notice to improve before we get to the end of the academic year.
I mean, one thing about the Ofsted, as a journalist, when you go to Ofsted reports and it's a special measures or a notice to improve, or indeed the other extreme of outstanding, you're looking for the real sound bites or the real criticism. In many ways, as a notice to improve, there's not that many harsh criticisms, is there?
From the report.
From the report.
No, but I think we are mindful of the fact that you have to take into consideration past data, and to just look at the past term where there's a huge improvement, we understand that you can't just say based on that we are going to give you satisfactory or better. So we recognise that there has to be past data taken into account. We're just very pleased that they've also recognised the good work that's been done, and that there is that capacity as a team for us to move forward in all the areas that we'd previously identified as a new leadership team anyway, that were the areas that we needed to work on as a school to take us out of this notice to improve.
But you're in positive mood?
Absolutely, totally, I am.